If you have ever struggled with scaling up your Google Ads, this video is for you. You may have had that issue before where you try and scale your Google Ads, but as you do it, your results just plummet. Or maybe you're in the situation where you want to get more spend and results and sales out of your account, but you don't know which way to go about it, which campaign to scale, which campaign to pull back on. Well, in this video, I am going to show you the 3 hidden columns in Google Ads that you can pull up that will show you where to scale, how to scale, and how much to scale your Google Ads. Now you need to know what these columns mean as well as how to pull them up, but don't worry, I've got you covered in this video. I'm going to teach you how to use the columns as well as where to find them so that you can scale your Google Ads effectively too. Alright, so this is what we're covering today, the 3 columns to use to scale Google Ads, and let's first go over how to actually find the columns. So the columns in question are going to be your impression share columns, and first of all I'll just show you exactly where to get them. So you want to go to columns and then modify columns, and then under the modify columns section you're going to see here competitive metrics, and under competitive metrics there are an absolute ton of different impression share columns that you could pull up, and most of them you don't want. Like you've got impression share, search top impression share, search absolute top impression share. So there's loads of different options here, but what you want is search impression share, search lost IS due to rank, and search lost IS due to budget. So impression share, that tells you how much share of the market you get. So of all the times where you could have shown your ad, how many times did you actually show your ad? So 50% means that about half the time of when you could have shown up, you actually did show up. And it's a bit different to top impression share or absolute top impression share. Top impression share and absolute top impression share will tell you how often you're showing up at the top of the page. Now, I don't actually use top impression share. The reason being is you don't really need it. If you've got search impression share showing up as a column, you don't need top IS or absolute top IS, because those 2 metrics directly correlate to impression share. If your overall impression share goes higher, then without fail your top impression share goes higher, and vice versa. If your overall impression share goes lower, your top impression share goes lower. So if you see a low search impression share, then you know you could be getting more share of the market, and you know you could be getting more share of the market at the top of the search results. So you don't really need these columns, you just need search impression share. And then we also add lost IS due to budget, lost impression share due to rank, and I'll explain those and how to use these 3 columns in a moment. We don't need click share right now. And most of these metrics are for search. Now, I'm filtering for search campaigns at the moment. That's why we only see search. There are columns for display impression share as well, and I don't really recommend using the impression share columns for your display campaigns for a number of reasons. We're focused on search here, and the search impression share will show you the metrics for search campaigns and for shopping campaigns. It won't show you metrics for Performance Max, unfortunately, and we'll cover Performance Max a bit later in the video, but these columns are the ones you want to use for scaling your search campaigns and your shopping campaigns. So let's go ahead and save those, and then we have the columns here, and we can start seeing our impression share and the reason why we lost our impression share. Okay, so we have looked at the impression share columns, and I've told you why I don't use top impression share. I've covered why I don't use display. Just don't recommend it. And yeah, one thing I wanted to note is that these impression share columns aren't available for Performance Max. It's only for shopping ads. We will cover Performance Max in a moment, but you know, there's pros and cons. If you're e-commerce, there's pros and cons to using standard shopping or Performance Max, and there's no sort of one answer that always works. You've got to pick the answer that works for you. But one of the pros of standard shopping, one of the things it has in its corner, is that you actually get these columns for standard shopping, whereas Performance Max, we kind of have to do a bit of experimentation and figure out our impression shares and guess at them, which is a bit annoying, but let's move on to the next bit. Okay, let's actually use the columns. Now that we've got the columns up on our screen, how do we use them, and how does that help us scale? Well, first of all, before we do this, let me tell you some benchmarks I have for brand versus non-brand. So the 2 types of campaign are very different, and you want different benchmarks for your impression share for the 2 types. For non-brand, I typically look for 30 to 40% impression share. I think at about that level is acceptable, and above that level is great. Like sometimes we can get 50, 60, even 70% impression share in non-brand, and that is fantastic. Whereas for brand, you really want above 90% impression share. In fact, for brands, I usually want 100% impression share. For brands, what I'm normally looking at is trying to get a return on ad spend above 1000%. And then as long as my return on ad spend is that high, then I want my impression share to essentially be 100%. So benchmarks for you to take home, 90 to 100% for brand, 30 to 40% or above for non-brand. If your non-brand is way below 30%, then there might be an issue there, and you might need to look at your keyword choice, your ad copy, all that stuff. So search lost IS due to budget. What to do with that? So impression share tells you the share of the market that you're getting, and in the case where it's not 100%, there's one of two reasons why it's not 100%. You're either being limited by your rank, or you're being limited by your budget, and that is what these two columns here actually tell you. So of the market, I'm getting 35% impression share here, which means I'm missing out on 65. So where is that 65 being lost? Well, about 48% of it is being lost due to rank, and about 16.5% of it is being lost due to budget. So these two columns here are reason columns. They tell you why you're losing impression share. And if you're losing impression share due to budget, that means you could be getting a greater share of the market just by increasing your daily budget for the campaign over here. So in this column, I'm losing 16% of the market due to daily budget. So I might just actually want to whack this 1,150 up to say 1,300, 1,400, and then I would monitor this and see if this comes down to 0. If it came down to 2%, then I might whack it up again. Now, the cool thing with losing impression share due to budget is that assuming your bids are good, assuming that your return on ad spend is hitting its target, or assuming that your CPA is hitting its target, if you are on target and you don't change the bids, you just raise the budget, then what's going to happen is you're going to spend more at the same ROAS or same CPA. Your ROAS or CPA is being held in place by those bids, right? So if your ROAS or your CPA is on target, and if that target is profitable for you and you are looking to maximize profit, you should never really see any number here in budget. This should always be 0. Like what I want to see here is like this, right? I want to see that my ROAS is on target or my cost per acquisition is on target. And assuming that, I want this column to be 0, because if my ROAS or CPA is profitable, well, then I just want to be maximizing my spend. I want to be getting as much spend as possible because every dollar spent on ads is generating profit for me. So assuming your ROAS or CPA is on target, search lost IS due to budget should be 0. If it's not on target, then you've got something else to fix with your bids. Then you need to adjust your bids so that it is on target, and you probably need to do that first, then you can crank up your budget. So make sure you're on target. If on target, just crank up your budgets all the way so that you can eliminate this and get it down to 0, and then you'll be scaling, you'll be spending more. Like in this case, you'll be getting 16% more or 15% more or 25% more. Overall, this account could be getting 17% more impressions, clicks, and sales just by raising the budget, and it's going to do that. If we raise the budget, the ROAS is going to stay the same. It's going to stay at around 7.71, so why wouldn't we do that? So pull up your impression share columns in Google now. Ask yourself, are you on target, yes or no? If you are on target, are you losing anything at all due to budget? If you are, raise those budgets, man. You gotta be maximizing that spend if you want to maximize that profit. All right. The next column is search lost IS due to rank. So let's talk about what to do there. So you go search lost IS due to rank. So the thing to know about rank, this is talking about losing impression share due to your ad rank. And ad rank is a metric inside Google Ads, and it has a very simple calculation. It is calculated by cost per click multiplied by quality score, right? Multiply those two numbers, you get your ad rank. The higher your ad rank, the higher your placement on the page, and the more impression share you get. So we are losing, in this campaign, for example, we're losing 50% impression share due to the ad rank being lower. And there's two ways you can affect that. There is either affecting it through your CPC bid or affecting it through your quality score. Now, I just think of ad rank, or I think of this column, search lost IS due to rank, as a bid problem, as a CPC bid problem. If you see a high number here, the way you reduce it is by increasing your CPC. Yes, you can also increase it through your quality score. However, that takes a long time. And also, you should be working on your quality score all the time anyway. Regardless of what you see in this column, a recommended process for your Google Ads is to be every week or every 2 weeks, you should be spending time optimizing your quality score, and you do that regardless of whether you're losing a lot due to rank or whether you're not. You just do it anyway because it's something that always improves your Google Ads account. So for this exercise, for improving our impression share and for seeing that we're losing a bunch of stuff due to rank, I just think of that as a CPC bid problem. We need to increase our CPC bid in order to decrease the amount of impression share we're losing due to rank and increase our overall impression share for the campaign. And this comes with a trade-off. Right? It's not as easy as the search lost IS due to budget column. The search lost IS due to budget column is really simple. Like, are you on target? Yes or no? Okay, great. Well, then raise your budgets and get more spend. Whereas search lost IS due to rank has a trade-off, because increasing your CPC in order to get more share of the market will decrease your ROAS and it will increase your CPA. So if you are not well above target in terms of your performance for the campaign, then trying to reduce this number and get more impression share as a result is actually just going to make the campaign performance worse. So you can only really work on this number if your performance is above your target and you have some wiggle room. So for example, let's say the ROAS target in this account is 2.5. Well, I'm losing 50% here due to rank, and I could get more impression share if I increase the bids, but if I increase the bids, my 1.69, which is already below target, is going to go further below target, so I can't do it in this case. In this campaign, I would increase the budget so to get more impression share there, and my ROAS would stay at 1.69, but I wouldn't actually increase my bids in order to decrease this number. In fact, I might decrease my bids, and then I will lose even more impression share due to rank. I will lose out on more of the market, but right now the priority would be getting this 1.69 to be above my target. So you want to look for, with search lost IS due to rank, you want to look for scaling opportunities where you see a high number here under lost IS due to rank, but also a high number here. And this campaign is a great example of that. Let's say my ROAS target is 2.5. Well, this campaign does 56.4. That is phenomenal. It's a brand campaign, that's why it does so well. But remember, my recommended benchmark for brand is above 1,000% ROAS, so above a 10x. And this is doing 56x. So what we can do here is definitely increase the bids. We shouldn't be losing 64% of the market due to low bids in a campaign that is doing this well. So this campaign could easily get to above 90% impression share, 95, maybe 99 or 100% impression share, and the ROAS would come down, but it would still be way above my target. So that's the opportunity you want to look for when you're losing stuff due to rank. Look for a high number being lost due to rank, but also a high number for your return on ad spend or a very low number for your CPA. So your ROAS or your CPA needs to be well beyond your target. This campaign here is another good opportunity. This is actually not a brand campaign. This is a non-brand campaign doing a phenomenal ROAS for a non-brand campaign, but it's only getting 10% share of the market, right? And 70% of it is being lost due to low bids. We can improve that by increasing our bids, allowing this 9x to come down. Like, we can allow it to come down to 5x and still be really profitable. And we could be getting a much bigger share of the market here as a result of making that change. Other campaigns might not want, like this one here, we probably wouldn't want to be increasing the bids, we'd want to be decreasing the bids. So there you go. I hope you get a sense of how to read these columns now. And as I say, always work on quality score. And another thing to know is that in the long term, you should never be limited by budget, even if budget is a limiting factor for you. What I mean by that is, it's okay to see search lost IS due to budget in the short term, but in the longer term, you would actually just want to reduce your bids so that the only reason you're losing impression share is rank, not budget. Here's an example to illustrate why this is important. Okay, let's imagine a scenario, right? Let's say the base scenario is that we can get clicks for a $1 cost per click. And let's say we have a budget of $10, so therefore $10, $1 cost per click, we can get $10 for this budget and this CPC, and budget is $10, so we end up spending $10. Okay, Now let's modify the scenario a bit. Let's say, okay, there's been some constraint in the business, cash flow is low, or we need to limit the amount that we're selling. Whatever reason, some constraint outside of Google Ads means that, okay, now we have to limit our budget to $5. So let's imagine first that we limit our budget to $5, but we don't change the CPC. What happens? Okay, now we've got a $5 budget, CPC is still $1, and as a result, we only get 5 clicks. So we successfully reduce our spend to $5 because that was the daily budget. And now we only get 5 clicks because we didn't reduce the CPC. Okay, scenario 2, we've still got that $5 budget. We're still going to end up spending $5. But knowing that we need to reduce our spend, instead of just leaving the CPC where it was, we decrease the CPC. And we decrease it down to 50 cents. Now what happens is we get 10 clicks for the same spend, right? So whenever you're losing impression share due to budget, like let's say we can't up the budget, but here we're seeing a lot of impression share being lost due to budget. We can't up the budget, right? Because we've got a hard constraint, $5. But if we're losing lots of impression share due to budget, then what we can do instead is reduce our CPC and as a result get more clicks while still staying within that $5 budget. Now, to what point should you reduce it? You can keep reducing it, right? You can keep reducing it and getting more clicks for the spend, but at some point there's going to be another constraint. So how far do you reduce the CPC? Here's 2 scenarios that show you this kind of thinking and the calculations. So let's say next we realize that at 50 cents we're still spending the full daily budget and we're getting 10 clicks. So next we try to reduce the CPC again and we go down to 20 cents. And then maybe we see something like this. Our budget is $5, but we only get 20 clicks and we were only able to spend $4, right? So now actually we weren't able to spend more for whatever reason. We only got up to $4 here, and that tells us that we've reduced the CPC too low. What you actually want to do here is then you want to slightly increase the CPC to get as close to $5 as possible without having that $5 limiting your campaign, without the limit being budget. The limit should be your CPC bid. So then maybe what we do is we increase the CPC to say 21 cents, and then maybe we're able to get 23 clicks. Maybe the thing spends a bit more at $4.83, getting closer to that $5. So you can see here, if you reduce your CPC bid too low, then you don't spend your budget and you get less clicks. Then you want to sort of adjust it a little bit higher, and you want to actually just find that point where you're spending exactly $5, but your budget is not limiting you, it's your CPC bid that is limiting you. So if you ever see search lost IS due to budget and you are in a situation where you just physically can't increase your daily budget for whatever reason, that is fine, but you still want to end up in the scenario where you have 0% lost impression share due to budget, but you're going to do that by reducing your CPC and getting more clicks. It's a lot better if your budget is $5, it's a lot better to be bidding 21 cents and getting 23 clicks versus keeping your CPC bid at $1 and just getting 5 clicks. So that's what I mean when I say never lose impression share due to budget. Okay, in the next section of the video, I'm going to show you what to do with Performance Max campaigns, because Performance Max campaigns won't show you your impression share column. But before I do that, let me just take a quick moment to make you aware that if you need help with a fully done for you Google Ads management service from a team of pros, myself and my team, fully managing your Google Ads campaign so that we can help grow your business, well, if that sounds like you and you need help with this, then head over to the link in the description below. It'll take you to the page on my agency website, BigFlare, where you can book in a time to speak with either myself or my team leader, Lee. We'll hop on a call and we'll chat about your business and requirements. And at the end of the call, if we think that our fully managed Google Ads service can help you achieve your business goals, we'll let you know, we'll send you a proposal, and we can talk further about working together at that point. Okay, back to the meat and potatoes and a note on Performance Max. What do we do with Performance Max, considering the fact that when you're in Performance Max, you don't get those columns. You don't get to see the column for impression share, lost IS due to rank, lost IS due to budget, any of that stuff. Okay, so Performance Max is a little bit different. Now you can see a bit of impression share data in Performance Max, and you can see that by coming into your Performance Max campaign and you go down to Insights, and then you go to Auction Insights, and within the Auction Insights section, you've got a selector here that says search or shopping. So you can flip between the two campaign types, and then you can actually see your impression share. So we can see here that this PMax campaign gets 56% impression share in shopping. Not terrible, not bad. Now, unfortunately, there's no way of seeing whether we're losing that due to rank or losing that due to budget. But what we can do is we can come to our spend graph, right? And here is how much my PMax campaign has been spending over the past 30 days. And let's do this, like, let's take a little screen grab there. And what we can do here is we can see if the spend graph touches the daily budget very regularly, right? So let's say my daily budget was like here, right? So if I saw this, or like, you know, it's allowed to overspend some days. So you might see something like this. Let's say the daily budget was £1,000 or whatever that number is there. If I saw this, I would see that, okay, my impression share is maybe a bit lower, like maybe it was 30 or 40%, I want it to be higher. And then I would check the daily spend graph, and I would see, are there multiple days over the past 30 days where it was hitting or exceeding my daily budget? If yes, then I'm probably losing impression share due to budget, and I can probably raise my budget like that. My goal with Performance Max campaigns is that the return on ad spend should be above target, it should be profitable, and if yes, then instead of thinking lost IS due to budget should be 0, we don't have that column. Instead of thinking that, I think, okay, my daily spend should get close to, but should never touch my daily budget. So daily budget should be like there, right? We want daily spends to always be a little bit below, always leave a bit of room, because this is a profitable campaign, so we never want it to actually hit the daily budget. We want to spend as much as possible. So I'd adjust the daily budget. I would check again. Maybe in 30 days you would see that this line graph here has moved up and it starts hitting the daily budget again. Then I would know, okay, well, yeah, I still need a higher daily budget. It's still performing well, so I'd increase the daily budget. Now, let's say I came in here and my daily budget was sort of already up here, and I see that my campaign is never really getting close to the daily budget, but I am losing some impression share, which I saw in the Auction Insights section earlier. If that's the case, well, any impression share that is being lost and is not due to budget is due to rank. So if I saw this and I saw, okay, my impression share is 56%, well, then I know that I'm missing 44% impression share due to rank, because my spend is never hitting my daily budget. And then the same calculations apply. Okay, I'm losing impression share due to rank. I need to increase my bids. Can I increase my bids in here, yes or no? And when I say increase your bids, like normally we're going to be running target ROAS or target CPA in a particular campaign in Google Ads these days. So if you want to increase your bids, what you do is you lower your ROAS target, or you increase your CPA target. That gives the system more room to bid higher, so it's the same as saying increase your bids. So if you're running target ROAS, when I say increase bids, I mean lower the target ROAS. The two things are the same. The system responds to a lower target ROAS by increasing your bids. So if I was in this situation here, I'm running maybe target ROAS in this account, I'm losing some impression share, I want to scale, I want to get more impression share, I want more sales, and I know I'm not losing it due to budget, and my ROAS is well above my target, well then I know that I can decrease my ROAS target. So maybe my ROAS target was set at 4.1 or 4. In this case, I would know that I can reduce my ROAS target. Like maybe I'm happy as long as ROAS is always above 3. So what I would do here is I would reduce my target down to 3.5 or 3.4. And then that is going to make the system bid higher and spend more and get me a bigger share of the market, and ultimately make me more sales overall. I hope you can see now how important impression share is in Google Ads and how important it is to understand this metric. Like honestly, I have been able to scale accounts really effectively and really quickly for clients on occasion, just because before they signed up with us, they didn't know how to use the impression share column. We come in, we immediately see, oh, there's loads of room for scale here, and we just increase the bids and budgets in the right place and scale them profitably. So know how to use this stuff and apply it to your own campaign. And if you like this sort of education around particular settings or metrics or columns that make you more money in Google Ads, then you'll probably want to check out this video up here, where I show you the ultimate hidden setting in Google Ads that you can apply that makes all your bid strategies a lot more effective. So it's kind of like this video. It's going to be a really quick lesson, and once you use it, your Google Ads campaign will thank you for it. So go check it out.